This is LP Giobbi.
Listen up, children.
You are listening to Femme House Radio.
I said listen up, children.
On Diplo's Revolution, Sirius XM.
A wonderful night is made as much by the dancers as the music. Guided as much by the spirit of joy in the room as by the hand which reaches for the next record. Each of us has a role in tonight's experience. We all play in the band.
This is LP Giobbi, and I founded Femme House, a 501c3 foundation and educational platform that teaches the technical areas of music making for women, non-binary, trans, and other marginalized gender identities. Every week, I will be interviewing and spotlighting women in music while bringing you the best dance tunes from around the world. Our next guest on Femme House Radio is producer and powerhouse Kito. She has released on Mad Decent, Ed Banger, and now Astralworks. She has remixed Beyonce, been sampled by Big Boy, produced for Fletcher, Banks, Georgia Smith, and collaborated with Broods, Hudson Mohawk, Empress of, Aluna George, and Zoo, to name a few. Welcome to Femme House Radio, Kito.
Thank you. I love that intro.
Pretty boss. I'm guessing you might be sick of telling this story, but because we are on Diplo's Revolution, can you tell us the story of Diplo signing your records to his label? How did you get in touch with him when you were just starting out at the very beginning?
I sent him a message on MySpace when MySpace was still a thing. And I just sent him demos and he replied. He listened to them, replied. We kind of messaged back and forth a bit, and then he was like, I want to put these out on my label, and I met him in London, and because I was living there at the time. And that's how I started releasing music on Mad Decent, and kind of it sort of got my foot in the door just with, or, you know, watching his career, the way he kind of balances the pop world with like making dance stuff, and that was really inspiring to me.
I could totally see that. I mean, you're definitely following in that footsteps. Were you just blown away when he responded? Like, that is an insane story.
I was. I actually played my music to Feeds, a producer from Paris that was on Ed Banger, and he was like, you should send this to Diplo. And so that's why I was like, maybe, yeah, that's a cool idea. Because I was like, where do you think this fits? Like, what do I send this to? And then I messaged him and I was like, oh, he responded. And he was like, what? Like,
that is so awesome. Good for you for throwing it out there. I mean, you know, seeing what sticks. That's so impressive. I love that. I love it.
Sign up a DJ though, I think, like listening to demos, and I think maybe then people were trying to find stuff that wasn't signed a lot more, like to play in DJ sets. So maybe a little easier then, I'm not sure.
I still think that's very impressive, and just the fact that you have the wherewithal to do that. So what kind of music do you play in your DJ sets?
Well, I haven't played in such a long time, so it's such a, like, whenever I do a mix, I'm kind of like, I don't know, it's just like I listen to dance music so much at home, but I feel like I haven't played to a dance floor since, you know, pre-pandemic, but I've also been so immersed in production the last few years. So I think when I play, it's almost like drawing on like 10 years of me being into dance music, and like I'm like, oh, I'm one of those people now that can like pull old, like
so sick
kids I know, like
so tight. Oh, I love that. And so are you kind of tiptoeing towards a live show one day? Because your music, I mean, it's like music to dance to, but it's all like you're making full pop bangers as well. So it's like, are those songs incorporated in your DJ sets? Or are you like playing like dance music, or is it? I see you having a live show one day. Maybe I'm overstepping my bounds.
I would love to have, you know, some of the features that I work with come and do guest spots, and just like, I think it would be so fun. And it is like, now thinking about doing live stuff and playing, it's like taking, you know, those 10 years of me DJing, and then the last 5 of mostly producing. Well, there's a crossover there. It's all compact into 10 years, but like, it's sort of like mixing those two things together. And yeah, I've been focusing more on making songs and like pop production in the last few years, but I love the idea of kind of like combining those worlds a bit. And I love like edits of pop songs, and, you know, like when you go sing and play and you're just like hearing these amazing combinations or mashups of like a pop song, like with something that you're like, what the hell is, some electro song or like something like that. It's so fun.
Totally. I recently had like the fun challenge of playing to, I was playing at this like private party recently, and half the dance floor, like they're the DJ before me who was like, I will not disclose their name, but they're like an awesome, cool underground, like very like Ibiza, Jamie Jones world, And there are some girls in the dance floor like, we just want to like sing along to lyrics. Like we just want lyrics to sing along to. But then the other rest of the dance floor like loved what he was doing. So I was like, okay, how do I like, so I found like a lot of pop acapellas and like threw them over these vibey tracks and like would take it in and out, like kind of trying to like unify everybody. Like, see, these songs are good if you can like have something you can relate to. And it was a really fun challenge. I learned a lot from that experience. I can totally see how that is, it made the dance floor like just slightly more fun.
Yeah, I love parties like that as well, where you have DJs. Like I remember seeing like Mark Ronson play in like, a club in London, and it's almost like just hearing someone's taste. Like, there's the crowd pleasing tracks, and then he'll pull something just to be like, I bet you guys haven't heard this. Like,
totally. And like once the people trust him because like they've heard songs that they like or can recognize or whatever, then he's allowed to do that, and they're going to be open to it, which is like, I think that's such a good DJ when you can like get them to come along a little bit after trusting them. Yeah, I love Mark Ronson's DJ sets. Okay, so do you like producing for your own project or for other people more? Because you're like a true producer, and obviously I've worked with some insane names on their projects, and like, do you have, or is either one more fueling for you, I guess?
I think I really like the balance of both, because I really enjoy working on other people's stuff, because there's something like really satisfying about like, I don't know, serving someone else's project and having like, just like trying to do the best job for that song or that project, and then like letting go. It's so like and freeing to do that, and just being part of the creative process. And then sometimes with my stuff, like I'll overthink it, or it'll mean more to me. But then on the other side, it's like, that's very freeing, because I have full reign on production and like what I want to do and how I want to finish it. So it's kind of nice, like going between the two. I really enjoy it. It is sometimes I'm like, I need to just focus on my artist project. There's too much other stuff.
Totally. I bet. But it must be nice to kind of like give up some, like when producing for somebody else. I mean, I've only worked on my own project, but I feel like there would be something freeing about like, you do the best work, but like ultimately you don't have to nitpick every single tiny thing, because it's like, that's sort of, those final decisions are out of your hand. Like that would almost be so freeing.
I love it. I love getting notes if they're good notes. Like if they're good notes, it's great. And I do work with some artists that are really articulate with production and just like very clear, and which is so nice. Like when you have that relationship with someone and you're like, oh, that's such a good idea. Like
1,000%. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, well, I'm very impressed with what you have done in both worlds. I think it's because I can tell it's one of your tracks, but I also see that it's like, this one was a very collaborative process, which I think is like sign of a really good producer. It's not just the technical stuff. It's like pulling out good ideas from your collaborator, and I've been impressed. But I was like listening to a lot of your music recently, and like, whoa, you're really good and have like a very unique sound, but like can translate it into other people's worlds, which is so cool.
I've learned so much from living in LA and all the people I've worked with here. I'm like, everyone's so talented.
I bet. So I've heard your music described as crying in the club music, and I have received that same description for my music. So what is your favorite song, either of yours or someone else's, to cry in the club to? This is kind of a hard question.
Well, that is a hard question. Oh, I don't know, maybe it's like an Usher song or something.
What is your favorite song of yours to cry in the club to?
Oh, mine. I don't know. I feel like since I moved to LA, everything I make is a lot happier sounding, but maybe it's some kind of like melancholy thing that runs through. Wild Girl, honestly, even though that's such a happy song, there's still like something in it, like the verse or the pre thing. There's something in it that's like a little
emotional. Yeah, I love that. So what I love about your music is that it is incredibly well produced and written pop music, but your palette is so unique and slightly weirder. So there's like another dimension to your music. What is your creation process? Do you use hardware or software synths? Do you start with the song and then work on the production, or vice versa?
It's always different depending on how the song came about, but I mostly it's just software. I use Logic, so I probably am about to start dipping into synth world, I think. I'm like at that point where I'm like, maybe I'll start playing.
Once you do, you literally a black hole where all your money goes into synthesizers, so good luck there.
But yeah, the songwriting process, sometimes I'll write the song with the artist or a songwriter, and it'll kind of start from there with chords, usually just with like a musical element, and sort of build it out from that once we have the song. And then other times I get the top line, like someone will be like, do you want to try some stuff with this song? Like, which is kind of how I used to work, you know, as a bedroom producer, you're like looking for acapellas and like trying to make a track around it, which during the pandemic was really fun. Like my song with Jeremiah and Zoo was like that. It was getting sent the acapella and then like working remotely and then working on it and then sending it to Zoo and then him trying some stuff. And that was fun because I was like, oh, this is how I started. Like, this is
so cool. Totally. Oh, that's so cool. I love that. And I love getting an acapella and getting to work around it. Although sometimes I find like I'll have like worked on a few scrap ideas of tracks, you know, and like I feel maybe this is the corniest thing I'm ever going to say, but sometimes I feel like once I receive an acapella, it's like the universe is like pairing the two together. And oftentimes I already have a track I started that kind of fits. Like maybe a few things have to change. And I'm like, I'm like, there's a higher power that's looking out for music. I don't know if that's true or not, but anyways, what is your favorite show that you have played?
My favorite show, I think, like, it has, in all honesty, just been such a long time since I was like playing the kind of shows that were super exciting, just because I've been so immersed in being a producer for the last few years, and I am very excited to start playing again. But I think about the first time I came to America, even though I played many things in like Europe that were incredible, but it was just so exciting. The first time I came to America and did the Mad Decent block parties, I was like, what is this? I think a Philly block party, and it was just so fun. And it was also like such a long day. I think I played twice at the block party, and then there was an after party and I played there. It was like a 12-hour day of just, and then it like rained, we got wet, we dried off, we're like still partying, we're still playing. It was so much fun.
That is awesome. Those block parties are epic. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on Femme House Radio. I really look up to what you're doing in the space of pop music and dance music. You're an amazing producer. It is an honor to have you on the show.
Thank you. And likewise, I'm such a fan.
Thank you. Yay.
This is LP Giobbi. Listen up, children.
You are listening to Femme House Radio.
I said listen up, children.
On Diplo's Revolution, Sirius XM.
A wonderful night is made as much by the dancers as the music. Guided as much by the spirit of joy in the room as by the hand which reaches for the next record. Each of us has a role in tonight's experience. We all play in the band. I said, we all play in the band.
This is LP Giobbi, and I founded Femme House, a 501c3 foundation and educational platform that teaches the technical areas of music making for women, non-binary, trans, and other marginalized gender identities. Every week, I will be interviewing and spotlighting women in music while bringing you the best dance tunes from around the world.